So think about the last time you met someone in a professional setting for the very first time, like in person.
Right, like an actual face-to-face meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Before a single word was even spoken about the actual work, you were already gathering data, right?
Absolutely.
You're judging the firmness of their handshake, you're reading their posture, you're picking up on their tone of voice.
Yep, the eye contact, all of it.
Right. And for decades, those tangible physical cues were the absolute bedrock of a professional reputation. I mean, if there was a misunderstanding, you just did a quick, casual, office pop-in to smooth it over.
Yeah, and those physical cues, they did a lot of heavy lifting for us.
They really did.
They were basically the subconscious shortcuts we used to signal competence. They built trust before the actual deliverables were even on the table.
And here's the thing. If you are listening to this right now as a remote worker, a freelancer, or a virtual assistant, you know that entire physical reality has essentially vanished,
It's just gone.
completely replaced by a blinking cursor and a typed message. Like your entire professional existence is filtered through a screen.
It really is.
And that brings us to the stack of notes we are unpacking today for this deep dive. We are looking at an instructional module titled Writing Professional Correspondence. And it was created by Piro Edge Learning Academy and Career Quest.
Which is honestly an incredibly timely document
Oh, yeah.
because it treats business writing not just as a nice to have soft skill,
Yeah.
but as a hard, measurable operational necessity. It frames communication as the actual product you are selling.
Exactly. And the mission of today's deep dive is to decode the exact science of business writing for remote professionals. So whether you are an aspiring virtual assistant looking to land your first client, a seasoned freelancer, or honestly just someone trying to figure out why your emails are getting ignored by your remote team.
Which happens to all of us.
Right. We want to extract the concrete frameworks that separate average communicators from truly high-earning professionals. So, okay, let's unpack this, starting with the sheer weight of the written word.
Yeah, the module hits on this immediately. It doesn't ease into the topic at all.
No, it goes right for
It
it.
establishes the stakes right up front with the idea that every single message you send is a permanent reflection of your professionalism.
Yeah, there's this striking quote pulled straight from the imagery in the module. It says, your words create your opportunities.
That's powerful.
Right. I read that, and initially I thought, okay, well, that's a little dramatic for an email about, like, scheduling a Zoom call.
Sure, yeah.
But then I really thought about it from the client's perspective.
Right. I mean, put yourself in the shoes of someone hiring a virtual assistant.
Okay.
They rarely, and in many cases, literally never meet this person physically. They don't hear their voice in the break room. Therefore, written correspondence isn't just a small facet of the VA's professional identity. It is their complete and total professional identity.
Which is an immense amount of pressure to put on a keyboard, honestly.
Yeah.
It makes me think about it like a well-structured email is basically a tailored virtual suit.
Oh, I like that. A virtual suit.
Yeah.
And the fabric of that virtual suit is made entirely of your grammar, your tone, and your formatting.
Right. Because if you show up to an in-person boardroom pitch wearing a sharp, perfectly fitted suit, you signal to everyone in the room that you have your life together.
You signal competence.
Yes. And if you show up with, I don't know, a massive mustard stain on your lapel, everyone's suddenly questioning your judgment.
Exactly.
In the remote world, a
Yeah.
typo, a rambling paragraph, or just a really confusing question that is the mustard stain.
That is the mustard stain. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the text outlines the very real psychological stakes here.
Tell me more about that.
Well, when your writing is clear and structured, the client's brain subconsciously links that clarity to your actual work.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they think, if this person is this meticulous about a quick daily update email, they're going to be meticulous with my invoicing spreadsheet.
Right. It builds immediate trust.
Exactly. It builds immediate trust.
And trust translates directly to the bottom line, right? I mean,
Yep.
the module explicitly lists excellent correspondence as a top skill that separates high-earning VAs from average ones.
Because it dictates the trajectory of your entire career. When a client sees that virtual suit looking sharp day after day, their anxiety just drops.
They feel safe.
Right. And when they feel secure, they hand over more complex, higher stakes tasks. And gaining those responsibilities directly increases your earning potential.
So the correspondence is quite literally the gateway to the cash flow,
Literally.
which means we need to look at the actual tools of the trade. If this virtual suit is so important to our earning potential, it begs the question, are we wearing a tuxedo to a beach party?
Right, context matters.
Yeah, so the source material lays out 7 main forms of correspondence in a VA's toolkit. So we've got emails, business letters, memos, reports, proposals, instant messaging, and SOPs, standard operating procedures.
It's a highly comprehensive list. It covers pretty much every possible touch point.
It does, but I have to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because if you are listening to this right now, think about your own daily workflow. In an age of Slack, Microsoft Teams, WhatsApp, rapid-fire messaging has basically eaten the workplace.
It really has.
So why on earth do we still need rigid, old-school formats like memos or formal business letters that you have to attach as a PDF? It just feels, archaic.
Well, it does feel traditional, sure, but you have to understand the psychology behind why the module delineates these tools so strictly.
Okay.
You are managing psychological boundaries, not just transferring information.
Psychological boundaries.
Right. Instant messaging and chat are designed for the daily churn. They are meant to be ephemeral.
Right. Like the module gives the example of pinging the team on chat to say, team, I've uploaded the client's folder on Drive. Please review before 3 p.m.
Exactly. That is a low-friction environment. It's fast, it's informal, and it expects a fast reply.
Yeah.
But you would never use a low-friction chat message to ask for a raise or to pitch a brand new service. That is where business letters and proposals come in.
Okay, so if I want to take over a client's weekly newsletter, which is an example in the text, pricing it at 45,000 Naira per week, I shouldn't just drop that in a Slack channel.
Absolutely not. You present that as a formal proposal, sent as a standalone document outlining the scope of work and the pricing.
Interesting.
Because sending that as a PDF creates a physical or rather digital boundary. When the client has to actually open a document, the environment shifts.
Oh, I see.
It signals to their brain, this is an official business transaction, not just some passing thought you had over your morning coffee. It demands a totally different level of attention.
Ah, okay. So you are intentionally adding friction to make them take the proposal seriously. The format itself carries a subconscious message.
Exactly.
That actually makes perfect sense. And the module dives into these hyper-specific real-world scenarios where a VA basically has to weaponize these different forms.
Yeah, let's look at the psychology of those scenarios, starting with onboarding.
Okay.
Because you are establishing the baseline for the entire relationship. You aren't just saying, hey, I'm ready to work. You are taking control.
Right.
The text gives a great, incredibly simple example. It says, hello, Mr. Daniel. I hope you're doing well. Could you kindly grant me access to your Google Calendar so I can begin scheduling your appointments for this week?
Okay, notice what that does not do.
Right.
It doesn't ask Mr. Daniel how he wants to proceed. It doesn't ask for a 30-minute meeting to discuss calendar management. It just tells him exactly what button to click so the VA can start making his life easier.
It completely removes the cognitive load from the client. And that same psychology applies to how a VA gives updates.
Yeah, this part was fascinating.
Because clients can't look over your shoulder to see what you are doing, right? So they rely entirely on your written updates. If you just say, working on emails today, the client's brain starts spinning. Like, which emails are they handling the urgent ones?
Which is why the example the module gives for giving updates is so brilliant. It reads, quick update. All emails received before 3:00 p.m. have been triaged. 3 require your approval and have been highlighted in yellow for easy review.
That is just... it's perfect.
If you're taking notes, circle that concept.
It is the perfect update because it manages the client's attention. It tells them exactly what has been handled, everything before 3:00 p.m., so they can literally stop worrying about it.
Right.
And it tells them exactly what is required of them looking at 3 specific yellow highlights. Decision fatigue is a massive problem for executives. This email curates their decisions for them.
And speaking of decision fatigue, there's also the scenario of seeking clarity. Like, the module points out that a VA absolutely must ask questions when things are unclear, but they have to do it professionally.
Yes.
The example they use is asking, kindly confirm whether the October promotional campaign should run on both Facebook and Instagram, or on Facebook only.
The underlying mechanic there is the binary choice.
Okay, unpack that.
Well, you aren't asking an open-ended question like, what should we do about the social media for the October campaign?
Right.
Because an open-ended question forces the client to stop, think, and basically draft a mini essay. By giving them option A or option B, it takes them 3 seconds to just reply both. You've saved them time while getting the clarity you need to do your job.
So you've picked the right tool, say an email, and you know you need to remove cognitive load.
Mm-hmm.
But what words are you actually using? Because here is where the source material gets truly fascinating to me.
Oh, the tones section.
Yes, you can't just take that highly efficient, kind of robotic tone and apply it to every single person you interact with.
No, if you do that, you'll come across as completely tone deaf.
Yeah.
The module features this matrix, the audience tone chart, because a virtual assistant writing to a busy CEO requires an entirely different vocabulary than a VA writing to an angry customer.
It reminds me of, like, code switching at a party. You know the feeling. You walk into a room and you don't greet your best friend the same way you greet a prospective investor.
Exactly.
With your friend, you're casual, your posture is relaxed, you're using shorthand. But with the investor, you stand up straighter, you enunciate. You choose your words with real precision.
And what's fascinating here is that a remote professional has to effortlessly glide between these different personas, sometimes within the exact same hour of a workday.
Wow, yeah.
It's not about being fake. It's about strategic empathy. The source breaks this down into 4 distinct audience types and their required tones.
Let's get into the mechanics of this.
No.
Audience number 1, executives, directors, and new clients.
Okay, so the required tone here is formal. That means being highly professional, deeply respectful, using complete, grammatically perfect sentences. And this is a very specific structural rule from the text: no contractions.
Wait, really? No contractions at all?
None.
So if I'm emailing a new client, I do not write don't. I have to write do not. I don't write I've. I write I have.
That's right.
That feels a bit stiff. Why is that so heavily regulated?
Because of how the human brain processes text, reading without contractions naturally slows the reader down just a fraction of a second.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it forces a slight mental pause, and that pause lends a subtle subconscious weight and gravity to the words. It feels more deliberate, more official.
That is wild.
When you are dealing with a brand new client, you want to signal maximum respect and formality until they explicitly give you permission to be more casual.
That is a fascinating psychological hack. Okay, so contrast that with audience number 2, existing clients, people you've been working with for, say, 6 months.
Right. Here, you shift gears. You drop to semi-formal. The text describes this as warm and conversational, but still professional. This is where you do use contractions to speed up the reading pace and make it feel more fluid.
Makes sense.
You might add a quick note asking how their weekend was. The boundary is softer, but you are still wearing the virtual suit.
Right. Then you have audience number 3, team members. So your fellow VAs or the internal staff.
This tone is casual, professional, friendly, concise, direct.
Yeah?
You don't need a 3-line greeting and a formal sign-off to ask a coworker for a Google Drive link. You just need to be clear and, not sound like a robot.
And finally, audience number 4, which honestly feels like a completely different job. Customer service.
It really does require a totally different psychological approach. The tone here is empathetic.
Right, because they are usually mad.
Exactly. You're often dealing with people who are confused, frustrated, or anxious about their money. Your writing cannot be rigid or highly formal. It must be calm, courteous, patient, and entirely solution-focused.
The module gives a perfect example of this. Replying to a customer named Blessing, it says, Hi, Blessing. Thank you for reaching out. Your order is currently in transit and is expected to arrive by Wednesday.
And notice the follow-up sentence. We appreciate your patience and will keep you updated if there are any changes.
Yeah.
It acknowledges her emotional state patience and provides a concrete, factual solution Wednesday. It is specifically designed to diffuse anxiety through text.
It's amazing how much psychology is baked into just choosing the right words for the right audience.
Absolutely.
So, okay, we know the tools, and we know how to code switch our tone. Let's talk about the actual physical construction on the screen. How do we build the perfect message? Because the Pro Edge module is incredibly strict about formatting, particularly the anatomy of the absolute workhorse of the VA toolkit, the email.
Yes, the standard email format they demand is heavily structured and is built entirely around the concept of information processing.
All right, so it flows like this. Subject line leading into the greeting. Then the body should be exactly 1 to 3 short paragraphs or bullet points.
Very short.
Then a call to action, a closing, and a signature. Now, I have a confession to make here.
Oh, boy.
When I make a mistake at work, my immediate instinct is to over-explain. Like, I want to write a novel apologizing and explaining exactly how the wires got crossed so they know I'm not stupid.
We all do that.
Right. But this 1 to 3 paragraph rule seems to forbid that.
It absolutely forbids it, and for good reason.
Why?
Because if you write a novel apologizing, you are forcing the client to relive the mistake with you. You are wasting their time to make yourself feel better.
Oh, ouch.
The module provides a surgical script for apologizing. It goes, "My apologies. I mistakenly attached the previous version of the deck. Please find the corrected file attached. Thank you for your understanding."
Wow. Acknowledge the error, provide the fix, and get out of their inbox.
Precisely. Get out. To understand why brevity is so heavily regulated, we have to look at the environment these messages are entering. We live in an era of severe information overload.
Oh, definitely.
The executive receiving your email is likely scanning through 100 other messages that day.
So if they have to read 3 paragraphs of you setting the stage just to find out you need an invoice approved, you've already lost them.
You have failed as a communicator. The module operates on the principle that clarity is kindness.
Love that. Clarity is kindness.
Yes, the very first sentence must state your business immediately. Put the bottom line at the top.
And that ties directly into how they want the rest of the data formatted, because the module proves its own point about brevity in the sample client report it provides.
Oh, this is a great example.
The report is meant to summarize a week's worth of administrative support, and the data is wild. It says the VA managed 165 emails and scheduled 12 meetings.
Now, imagine the cognitive load of reading that in a block paragraph. This week, I successfully managed 165 emails for you, and then after that was done, I moved on to scheduling 12 meetings, and I also booked your flights.
My eyes are already glazing over just hearing it.
Right. When the brain encounters a wall of text on a screen, eye tracking studies show that we just bounce right off of it.
We skim.
Exactly. We skim in an F pattern and miss half the information. By using bullet points, the data becomes instantly scannable. A client can look at those bullets for 3 seconds and completely internalize the immense value the VA provided that week. Bullets remove the friction of reading.
So bullets are your best friend.
Always.
But even the best structure, perfectly tailored to a CEO, falls completely apart if there are errors. Which brings us to the final and maybe most crucial step before you click send, the proofreading ritual.
Yes. The module warns that even minor mistakes instantly reduce your credibility. It basically shatters the illusion of that tailored virtual suit.
Yeah, the editing checklist they provide is intense.
It is.
It includes the standard stuff,
Right.
running everything through gold. Grammarly, never just trust your own eyes.
Right.
Verifying names, dates, figures, and hyperlinks. Confirming that the attachment is actually attached.
We have all sent the please see attached email with absolutely nothing attached.
Oh, every single one of us.
Yeah.
But my absolute favorite piece of advice in this entire document, and honestly the most human piece of advice, is the very first item on their proofreading checklist. Read the message aloud to identify awkward wording.
It is an incredibly powerful technique because it bypasses the brain's autocorrect function.
Tell me more about that, because when I read my own writing silently, it always sounds like, poetry in my head.
Of course it does. Your brain is essentially a predictive text engine.
Really?
Yeah. When you read silently, your brain already knows what you meant to say, so it will automatically fill in missing words or it will gloss right over clunky grammar without you ever noticing. But when you force yourself to actually speak the words out loud, you engage a totally different part of your brain, Broca's area, which handles speech production.
So you literally hear the mistakes. Your tongue physically trips over the awkward phrasing.
Exactly. It forces you to experience the text the way the recipient will mentally process it. If you run out of breath trying to read a single sentence out loud, it means the sentence is too long for the reader's brain to easily parse.
Oh, that's such a good point.
Right. If it sounds robotic and clunky when spoken in your living room, it will read as robotic and clunky on their screen in the boardroom.
That is such a practical, immediate takeaway. If you're listening to this, try that on your very next email. Read it out loud.
Absolutely.
Okay. We have covered a massive amount of ground today. From understanding that in the remote world, our text is our entire professional avatar, to mastering the psychological boundaries of the 7 tools of correspondence. We looked at how to, chameleon our tone across that matrix of formal executives, semi-formal clients, and anxious customers. And finally, the rigid, friction-reducing anatomy of the perfect email.
It really highlights the core thesis of the Piro-Ij module. Writing isn't just typing. It is a strategic psychological system.
Absolutely. Whether you are drafting a highly formal proposal sent as a PDF to pitch a 45,000 Naira a week newsletter service, or you are just sending a quick, semi-formal Slack message to confirm a 10:00 a.m. Watt meeting with Chica.
Yeah.
The structure and tone of your writing is the ultimate currency of remote work. So what does this all mean for you moving forward?
Well, it leaves us with a really provocative thought experiment to explore.
Okay.
This entire instructional module is built on the premise of human-to-human connection, right?
Right. We are trying to reduce the cognitive load for human brains.
Exactly. We are meticulously tailoring our tone. We are removing contractions to signal respect to human executives, or we are carefully offering genuine empathy to frustrated human customers. But the landscape of remote work is shifting rapidly under our feet.
It is.
What happens when the recipient on the other end of your perfectly crafted, semi-formal email isn't a human being at all?
Oh, wow. Wait, really?
Yeah. What if the person, or rather the entity reading your email, is an AI executive assistant?
Oh my gosh.
Its only job is to scan for data, extract the calendar dates, and filter messages for its human boss. Does the nuance of semi-formal warmth still matter to an algorithm?
Does an AI care if you use a contraction?
Exactly. Will the future of virtual assistant correspondence require a whole new kind of code switching? Will we have to learn how to write specifically to please machines, optimizing our text for data extraction, while simultaneously trying to maintain a human connection?
Are we going to be writing prompts instead of emails?
We just might be.
That is a wild thought to leave on. Something for you to deeply mull over the next time you are staring at a blinking cursor, trying to decide how to start your message. We want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Before you hit send on that next message, take a second. Read it out loud.
Read out loud.
Remember your virtual suit. Think about the psychological impact of your next keystroke, and make sure your words are opening the doors you actually want them to. See you next time.